Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we now arrive at the core highlights of today's event, the Executive Forum on Disruptive Leadership in the AI Era, Navigating the Age of Permacrisis. As we prepare to officially begin this prestigious session, it is our immense privilege to formally acknowledge and extend our deepest appreciation to all our distinguished VIPs, industry captains, and honored guests present with us today. Yang berbahagia Profesor Datuk Dr. Ansari Ahmad, Founder President of Asia University. Yang berhormat Dr. Sivakumar Varataraju, Member of Parliament and Chairman of the Malaysian Convention and Exhibition Bureau. Yang berbahagia Profesor Dr. Nuraihan Abu Hamid, Vice Chancellor of Asia University. Yang berbahagia Adjunct Profesor Datuk Dr. Tan Yu Chong, Chairman of the AEU Speed Advisory Council. Yang berbahagia Profesor Sattar Bawany, Author and Global Keynote Speaker from the Disruptive Leadership Institute, New York. Yang berbahagia Datuk Seri Rosman Mohamad, Chief Executive of the Malaysian Employers Federation and Chairman of UAC Berhad. Yang berbahagia Datuk Syamsuddin Muhammad Mahidin, Board Member of Perbadanan Nasional Berhad and Independent Non-Executive Director of OCBC Malaysia. Yang berbahagia Encik Sam Majid, former CEO of the National AI Office, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, let's deep dive into the future of global leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, navigating the age of permacrisis requires a radical shift in how we approach organizational leadership, especially as artificial intelligence continues to rewrite the rules of global industry. To deliver today's highly anticipated keynote address, it is my absolute honor to invite an acclaimed author and a true titan in the field of global leadership development. Professor Sattar Bawany is a professor of practice at Asia University, Group CEO of the Disruptive Leadership Institute, New York, and President of the Center of Executive Education, Singapore. He serves on the Harvard University Review Advisory Council and is an author, keynote speaker, and executive advisor in leadership development. He has more than 3 decades of experience working with boards, CEOs, CHROs, and senior executives across Asia Pacific, the Middle East, Europe, and other regions. His work focuses on AI augmented leadership, crisis and disruptive leadership, strategy foresight, organizational resilience, and executive coaching for senior leaders. He is the creator of the Sharper Leadership Model, which is used to support leadership development and organizational transformation in complex and changing environments. He has advised organizations across public and private sectors on leadership capability, succession planning, and enterprise transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, to enlighten us on leading through AI era, please join me in giving resounding warm welcome to Professor Sattar Bawany. Professor, the stage is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and welcome to this morning dual session. So you had the signing ceremony downstairs. So today is going to be my keynote followed by the forum session with my fellow panelists, impressive fellow panelists. The title that I've chosen today for this talk, and Dr. Ansari and Philip Lim from AU, the head of Speed, we had a very extensive discussion since last year as a follow-up. We had a first discussion that was January 2025, where we sent an MOA between the Disruptive Leadership Institute in New York and AU, Asia University, to look at how can we bring contemporary, practical, and relevant program from the US, from our research institute in New York to Asia. And I've selected I selected AU, Asia University, as one of the institutions that I would like to work. And also there are a few others I wouldn't mention because I want to focus on EU, leading institution in Malaysia to bring in on different aspects on disruptive and crisis and disruptive leadership. So the title is Disruptive Leadership in the Era of Navigating the Age of Permacrisis. So there are three words there, or rather three different themes that you need to understand. One is disruptive leadership, which I actually spent a lot of time talking carefully to last year when I was here. But I'll be talking about some new development, some latest development, and I'll also be talking about the word AI era, which every day, I was talking to Sam, every day, every inbox inundated with articles, LinkedIn, with economies, with FIT, with Harvard. I sit at Harvard Business Advisory Council. So I'm asked every week to validate articles before they are published in the magazine. We're supposed to do several others worldwide to give our perspective as an expert. Yeah. And my biggest concern worldwide, and I will show you on Sunday when I was talking to my research team in New York, one of the key findings, which is going to be published in November 2026, our latest book called The Leader as Shaper, the Human AI Collaboration Model, is the unpreparedness of board members and CEO in understanding how to execute. They will spend billions of dollars in a deployment, getting the right vendor, so-called, put in the system, and some of them are the best systems, whether from Anthropic, from XAI, whether from OpenAI, you can name it. There are thousands of, in China. There are thousands. But the question is not about the technology, and I'm going to talk about this very important. I'm going to start this and I will end with this. It's not about technology. I learned in 1995 when I was in Helsinki, Finland, because we are a global consultant to Nokia, a very successful firm then, a GSM phone. Now it's dead. Nokia is no longer around. It's around, it's part of Microsoft. Microsoft bought over part of the business. The mobile phone business, the Nokia NTC, the transmission is still around. Jorma Ollila, chairman of Nokia, told me something. He says that, technology is only an enabler. And remember this, there's always an off-on button in technology. You can just off it. It doesn't work. The whole system, the whole company, you off the data center, or center get corrupted or get cyber hacked, the whole system break down. What are you going to do? Are you going to stop? You're not going to continue to function? But it's the people, the board, the crisis management team, the CEO, the C-suite, CIO, CDO, CISO. CISO stands for the Chief Information Security Officer, and the CEO, Chief Data Officer or Chief Digital Officer. Then you have, of course, the CTO, Chief Technology, CIO, the old, Chief Information. All these people cannot do anything when the technology is down. But the question is, what they're going to do to react, to respond, depend on their ability to demonstrate cognitive readiness to respond to the change. That is important. That's why the title is about my whole series of books from 2010 to 2016. It's called the Leadership, Future Ready Leadership. Okay, this and hopefully in 2027, all this will be combined into a single book. The key models and key learning for CEO and boards will be into a playbook game book that can be used to lead in the AI-driven, disruptive, and crisis-driven world. Let me give you an example before I go into the next slide. two leaders that I would like you to reflect and emulate. Based on our research that we're going to publish in November in the book called The Leadership as Shaper, the Human AI Collaboration, one example that I really inspired me, I was telling Sam that, Sam or Dr. Samsuri, I can't remember, somebody talked about, there's a Microsoft colleague here. Where are you? Where are you? Sorry? From Microsoft? Yeah, Ajit. I was telling you, my son works for LinkedIn, and LinkedIn was acquired by Microsoft. And I'm privileged to have a chat when one of the greatest leader that I've met, Satya Nadella, he came to Singapore, have a chat, and I understand about his history, about his son, the tragic, and what he went through. He's one of the greatest leaders I've been. He's better than Bill Gates, better than, what is the guy that's clowning around, number 2 CEO? Microsoft, your boss, number 2 CEO, after Bill Gates is Steve Ballmer. And I met Steve, it's a real, it's totally different, but the best leader I've met is this guy called Satya Nadella. And there's a whole chapter in this book how Microsoft was successful. I wrote about Satya Nadella, our interview, and also our research about his book called Hit Refresh, how he transformed Microsoft. Please correct me, from a Windows-based, before he took over in 2014, and Microsoft was so defensive of Windows. When he took over, he transformed into the cloud-based, open collaboration, open source, and working with partners, and so successful with Azure, Azure, the cloud-based computing. Then, of course, with Copilot agents. I can tell a lot, it's all in here, but it's one of the best companies. Why? Strategic foresight, not strategic focus, not strategic thinking as a competency, as we all know. Put it aside. All these are redundant. Today, the leadership competency of importance in an AI-driven era, in a crisis and disruptive, is called strategic foresight. Now, what is the difference? Strategic thinking, when I advised the Singapore government, Indonesian government, at one stage Malaysian government in year 2000, we talk about scenario planning. Yeah? What we anticipate, and I was a consultant to the DOD in US with my team, and also in Singapore, consultant to the Ministry of Defense. We use what we call scenario planning. Is what are the future? Thinking of the future, probable future, and you plan for the future, and then you plan what are the contingency measures. But today, straight thinking, scenario planning doesn't work. You have to embark on strategic forecasting or strategic maneuvering, and we're talking about this strategic foresight where you have multiple future. So come back to the point. Strategic foresight is the ability to plan multiple future and getting ready to pivot, to be adaptable, to move towards which outcome that would arise as a situation arises in the environment. That requires second set of capability called agility. So you cannot use strategic thinking, you cannot use strategic scenario planning, so you have to use foresight and you have to use disruptive, and to be more specific, agility, you go deeper, called disruptive mental agility. I only see 6-7 people writing down. The rest of you all can good memory. You can record down, it's okay, I allow you. You can record down, take picture, take video, whatever you want to do. I'm open. Okay, you can do whatever you want. But be careful when you post. So my point is, there, we need to develop a strategic agility. And the word I use is DNA, disruptive mental agility, to disrupt the challenge of mental model, challenge your assumption, challenge the way you think, challenge your way of thinking, understanding the cognitive biases, understanding what doesn't work anymore, to pivot quickly to the new way of work. Third, what is the most important community that Microsoft have done, JP Morgan, Procter & Gamble, Paul Pullman from Unilever, DBS Bank, Piyush Gupta, Singapore. There's one more, very important, they've done very well. I'm going to tell you a few things that you need to. By the end of today, my session, 1 hour, you have 10 nuggets, 10 gold things. You must remember, inshallah, you've got you and the team, your board, your CEO, just to spur your team. Okay, third one. So, Strategic Foresight, Disruptive Leadership. Third one, before I move to the other example. Come on. What is the most important? In the era of AI collaboration today, everybody talk about AI, I think Govind Sarat, PMX, and then we have an expert here who will talk about somebody in the panel. PMX will be our interesting. I try to be back in here to attend, or to listen here. I think probably I'll be away overseas, but I try to listen, and I have a lot of respect for PMX. But put the right choices, but I wish our Sam should be there and continue. And you can share with us a lot, and it's a lot to learn, some kind of knowledge. I'm very happy, you all are fortunate. Actually, Philip told me that Sam will finish his contract, he was still good. I was so sad. I told Philip, please, get him to come back and share. He's just last week. Said, no, please, alhamdulillah, this come a lot. He agreed. So we are very fortunate. Okay, come back. I'm going to finish. Come on. Human AI collaboration. What is the most important? Yeah, so when you talk about working in the AI era, you need to talk about, you cannot just implement AI deployment, and I will talk about it in detail later. Every slide will be. There is the feature of the book called the human as shaper, leader as shaper, SHAPR acronym, in the evolution of human AI collaboration. What is the third most important? And come on, you know the best of that.
I heard this word is AI native.
No, competencies. What are competencies? Competencies are skills, behavior, attitude that you can demonstrate. So if I'm a board chairman, I recommend a few boards in the US, and before they appoint, they come to me and say, look, let me give them 1 hour, I ask a few questions. I can give me half an hour, so 1 hour for CEO, C-suite, I think a bit longer, so they're going to be daily data. I think they're 3 hours, they go through a series of material tests. I can tell they are suitable or not. Don't waste your time with these people. Spend a lot of money. Don't waste.
So, Prof, if you have foresight, your job, just do it. You have.
No, you're close to it. What is that called? It's like E. Execution. So it's the execution carried out. So you can have the best technology. You can have Anthropic. You can have Mythos, which I got another issue I see. You can have Claude. You can have Maven technology implemented by the one that the US government used in Iraq, on Iraq. But this mistake in the Iran war, the US did #1 mistake was day 1 on 28 February 2026. Disaster happened on the first day because of this. What happened on first? A child was killed. I was so angry. What happened? You know? Good. What happened? 156 children died. Children, women, girls, age of 5 to 13, majority, 26 teachers died in the coastal city of Nam. Because that location, the DOD, planter system, the Maven technology, designated previously as a IRGC naval facility. But the problem is, when they want to go to war, that they do not upgrade the target package. That location, actually over 1.5 years, has been moved, as RGC has moved further down. That location, missile location, is used by the school. So when they launched the missile, they were, no, not missile bombs, they were very accurate. The technology is very precise AI technology. Very precise. Very precise. They aim, the missile goes into the school. That is disaster. That, let me tell you, one of the biggest disasters that America has. That happened, America refused to take accountability. So one of the lessons you can learn, fourth lesson for the 10th lesson. Fourth lesson, when you deploy AI, you must know who is responsible, who is going to be responsible. You must have a governance structure, ethics responsibility. So what happened was, come back to this example, the target package has changed because the information, you need to have human in the loop, but that information, that location, when they move, the RRGC move further down to the coast, that school location should have been updated in the system, in the Maven system. But the company, the DOD, you heard of it? Apparently, wish developed the Maven. So you got this you don't blame the system. I don't blame Maven. I don't blame I blame DOD. Up to today, the DOD, the Pentagon did investigate. They have not reviewed. They do not take accountability. They never even apologize. What is there? That is leadership. You should apologize. You make a mistake. Because the human, when you see go ahead, when the system go ahead, is whose responsibility? It's not. Man is the person who did the go ahead, to launch. So you must always have a human in the loop. This is the example. The human in the loop. You must have accountability. You must have governance structure. So this is what I'm going to talk about. Okay? So I'll give you an example. So you have the example of DOD, the Maven, that we talked about earlier also. Why is it not working? Okay. This is actually, I just prepared something like the latest information research. This is from this and the next slide from the US, just came in Sunday. So you are the first in the world to see the stock market. I was telling Philip, so let me do it for this. I think one of the things that I would like to share for over the last 5 years, it started, 2018, just 8 years. When the industry is 4.0, IR 4.0, and look at IR as one, AI is one of the technology. So this book, when we first launched, in 2018-2019, about developing future leader in the IR, is about how do you develop, identify, assess, develop future leaders, people training and coaching in the area of in the world of industrial form revolution. So this is a very comprehensive playbook. All my books are how to. It's about how to do it. It's not about what to do. You can Google it. You can Google it. You can get all the thing, all the 821 things. But how to do it based on best practices, based on the company they have done. That is what we do. We do the research. So we publish this book about how to develop future ready leaders for digital driven during AI driven. Then in 2020, I was commissioned by the publisher in New York, Business Press. How do we prepare leaders to manage the first ever disruptive, COVID-19 disruptive, which impacts almost all industry. Almost all industry. So what happened is this book, after COVID-19, and this book also, how do we is about digital transformation for companies, SME, NNC, how to take advantage using digital transformation to manage the challenge of post-COVID-19. So how do you use technology to deliver value to a customer? So this is more about COVID-19 disruption, about how to. This book, 2023, came out because there were concern about three things that came out in 2022. The Russian invasion of Ukraine, U.S. continued bombardment of Gaza, these two geopolitical, and the rhetoric of the U.S. Taiwan issue, US-China was a Taiwan issue. So they are, so I focused a huge chapter about geopolitical. At that time, Trump is going to come back. So I talk about what's the beneficial and disruptions. So you need to know about disruption. What are the major disruptors? One is what we call and I'll go to because this actually is a 4-hour session. So a lot is out there. So I just make sure that after the cover, and you may ask me questions with the panelists. So this is what I covered. The last one I covered in 2015, we were looking at a crisis as a result of COVID-19, what are the problems, and we were worried about the crisis of when Trump came about. Trump won the election 15 November 2024. I was asked, what's the implication? So we look at crisis, what's happened is supply chain crisis. What is going to happen if Taiwan Strait is blocked? What happened to the tariffs that Trump implemented? The first round of tariffs, was he going to promote, is he going to implement it? It was just after Trump won in 2024 November. So I started writing it. It was published in February 2025. And this book talks about a lot of board member, a lot of best practices, questions you should be asking. Board should be asking the CEO, the C-suite. This are the thing. Are you ready? What are the contingencies? A lot of questions to be asked to prepare, get the CEO, the C-suite, get the right person. And the crisis leader is to look at the competency, how the pivot actually transform to be able to make decisive decisions under pressure. Not all leaders are right. Let me tell you, I advise CEO of board, start looking at CEO fire. Some of the, you can train them, see, but CEO level, you're very different countries. You have to decide if there's the wrong person. Sorry, I'm telling you very bluntly. For managers, for doing and power, you must be fair to them, give them time to develop, provide the what essential things you provide very far develop. Yes, sir. What do you need? They learn from giving knowledge. But for CEO, it's too late to start to communicate. You should start trying to raise their level.
How about C-suite? You know what C-suite?
The CEO, if I need to evaluate who the CEO is running the company, they have the capability, the ability to be able to accept and embrace change quickly. I mean, they have the learning agility. And they have the then the C-suite you can train. Yes, I've shown you, I've done many years, I'll show you some examples. Okay, then, so these are the 4 books, but today we have history book, the HR to develop future leaders. You have 23 about disruption, about all the major disruption. There's a section on war between Ukraine and Ukraine. I predicted what happened in Ukraine. I said, look at the end. And up to today, I say that the US was a big mistake. And the Trump had been worse. It's not Trump. Putin is not just leader, just as Xi Jinping in China, just like story, I spent hours on Xi Jinping. I studied this his father. Why Xi Jinping? It's a big mistake for the US to take on Xi Jinping. I can tell you, I spent time to tell you the history of his father. So about me, talk about why do you think that China cannot take Vietnam. Tomorrow, Xi Jinping wants to take over Vietnam. This, like this. Close the street of Taiwan. Overnight. Within 8 hours. But why would they do that? There are other implications. As cannot defend the conventional welfare in the government. And I will tell you, because China is prepared. China cannot defend US conventional welfare. China has to use what we call the submarine. Yeah, and all over. Understand the AUKUS, you know of AUKUS? You know what's AUKUS? Australia, New Zealand, the UK, the submarine. You know, the US can, the 750, all the submarine cannot navigate to fight China. China can launch a missile. If I talk about China aircraft, the Liaoning was the first one 10 years ago. Then the second Republic, they're not going to win a conventional where China can never win. US 7 fleet, wipe them out. But because all the China, I talk about the China, the South China Sea, in this book, I talk about how the China trained the missile, but all in where did China store the missile? If you look at Iran, where do they stay? Where do you store? Hey, you must read all this thing. No, it's a global deal. Iran, that's why that's why you look at America was a big mistake. They thought it's Trump, huge mistake. He's been manipulated by Bibi Netanyahu. He thought he was successful, whatever, go to Venezuela, pick up Maduro his wife, and then they do the same thing, Bibi Netanyahu, the same thing they will do to Iran. Iran is not, Iran has a more than 2,000 years of history of war, peace structures, and this Iran is totally different. And today, the winner of the winner of the first Iran war is Israel. Let's spend time to talk about it. But they tell you, if they sign the peace agreement, you see, after they signed the agreement last week, they have war. They step back to war, and they're going to end. And the US made a big mistake by signing the Lebanon-US-Israel war without Iran. And the proxy of Iran, Hezbollah, was left out. And just after they signed, they were problem came. And you are talking about trying to create a new Middle East. And now all the GCC countries, the Gulf countries are asking, is it not to have US in our base? Iran still can bomb. I tell you, US make a big blunder, Trump make a big blunder by thinking they can take over him. Arrogant. Last Thursday night he said, if I want to bomb Iran, I'm taking funding for Iran. What did Abbas Arachi reply to Iran? 50 minutes after that, he replied and said, you can try to do that, there will be consequences. So this is just, this book is very, this professor, I got a hard copy, his office, I can really see. This is very good copy I got from the US, written in the US, and I can tell you, then I can check out, everything is very detailed. So I cover 6 areas. So I cover 6 areas in terms of disruption. Geopolitical alignment, I spent a lot of time talking about Ukraine, US, Gaza, Israel, Iran, US, Israel. Okay. I'll talk about technological disruption, Gen AI, we have agentic AI, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about AGI. It's not out yet, it's going to disrupt the orchestration. This climate change. In the book, I talk about a lot about climate change. The Paris Accord, the climate, and you need to understand. Singapore, we're going to spend $100 billion to prepare for, this is not a city-state, nation, island nation, prepare for the climate crisis for the next 100 years. And what so the food production will be affected worldwide. Then demographic shift, I don't spend this more HR about age group, you have the baby boomers fully retired by the next 10 years. You have the Gen X going to start the massive retirement. So you have Gen Y take the senior leadership role, then Generation Alpha take the middle management role. What are you going to do? How do you handle them? And lastly, is economic violation. Look at the tariffs. What's wrong? The tariffs, really, the terrorist war is continuing. You don't like you, I don't like you, I don't like Russia. Up there 100%. Tomorrow you just up on another there. And this will continue. The WTO is no longer relevant, It's not Trump here. And lastly, biological threat. This book talks about the next threat. If you think COVID is devastating, a friend, let me tell you heard about hantavirus, Ebola, hantavirus was good for people, but I'm covered in very extensive threat. You know what virus will possibly wipe us out? There's no vaccine after 30 years after that. You know what is that? I'm very worried. And it's very happening in Thailand, in Vietnam, in China, in US, but managed very hard. What is that? What virus is it? Come on. You see it every day. Sometimes you touch it, you do not know. The children touched it. In Kampong, you have it. What is that? No, food virus. No. Binatang itu. Virus. No. Swine is, what do you call it? In Malaysia, you have this problem 15 years ago. What do you call it? Nipah. The problem with H5N1. H5N1. 25 years ago, I was in the government panel in Singapore, advisory process, where I was in grassroots. Singapore grassroots, advisory grassroots, what happened is 55 years ago, there was a threat in China, of bird flu. Because of the migration, we come very easily. That's what we need is Google, there's no vaccine for H5N1. My friend, let me tell you, when I covered extensively, so the US is keeping quiet, Japanese is keeping quiet. Those of you who know about H5N1, if you have read, No, the shit, that one is hantavirus. No, there wasn't. It was H5N1, it's called bird flu. It's been up for 25 years. And I'm telling you, read my book, I come up with specific settings. What about even the WHO general application? So in this book, I spent a lot of the possible disruptor. Why that is important? Because the disruptor can lead to crisis, multiple crises. So you can have war, geopolitical war to China and US over Taiwan, supply chain, and all the chips from Taiwan will be disrupted. You're not going to have all the data center worldwide. Then you're going to start if you have a problem with supply chain, then you have a problem with manufacturing, then you have a problem with climate, or you have a problem with all the other sanctions in US.
Prof, kalau dah lama je, why not? 20 years ago, why not?
Because it's not prevalent. At that time, prevalent, the risk level and the magnitude of the impact. What is that? So now, I'm saying that there's no vaccine. So what I'm is hypothesis. I'm saying possible mega trend. So you got to be prepared. Because we think that COVID is dangerous. Bird flu. Your ayam kat rumah kat Albegam semua. All ayam, you think ayam all is very risky. But you're flying. In Malaysia, I see a lot of berebo or what's the black one. Every night, some of the black ones in KL, I see. In US, I was in SS2, in PJ, everywhere in KL. You know this thing. What is it? Bro, very risky. In Singapore, huge problem. So, I moved from I repeat, geopolitical disruptor between countries. We talk about climate change. We talk about disruptive technology, like, for example, Gen AI, agentic AI, Web3, any other disruptive technology. We talk about new pandemic. We talk about economic shock. All these are major disruptions of 350 pages within disruptive time. So then I came back, my client worldwide asked me, so Prof, so what is the meaning of this? How does it, will this lead to crisis? I said, yes. It leads to what we call polycrisis. What's polycrisis? Multiple crises happening at the same time. You have supply chain disruption, you have with cyber threat, your company reputation, then you have problem relate to your tariffs, economic sanctions, and so forth. Then this is what I want to repeat. Strategic Foresight is the strategic foresight. I talk about this a lot. Okay? Very important. So in this book, I covered a lot with this. Then I talk about adaptive organization, or what we call adaptive leadership. So how do you pivot your organization when the times come when you have a disruption, you prepare for it and then you pivot to the right move to manage the disruption. So that is, these are the board questions. So to look in board, first thing I ask board, are we preparing for the next crisis or are we merely recovering? So you need to continue board as to ask the question to the CEO. Will the organization that expect disruption then hope to recover, but the disruption leads to crisis? You understand? The disruption is the polycrisis. Leads to permacrisis. The word permacrisis means long-term, like what we have in COVID-19 is not over. COVID-19 is not over. It's still there because of the variant. It becomes endemic. So every 6 months, China discovered a new variant. In March 2023, March 2022, I wrote the book, March 2022. I discovered the first 6 months in China in Lancet, British magazine, revealed the Chinese discovered 22 variants of COVID-19 and SARS-CoV-2. 22 variants within. Today, every week, there's a new variant that may not have impacted many countries, but research discovered. So this question is asked, and then the third question, adaptive, can you remove? So in a permacrisis, a long-term crisis, like example, the share of almost 20% of all, and then that move. This is the thing about as Israel attacked Iran. I still understand the DOD, because they are inclined, the DOD knows. He knows Iran. This is their one of the strong deterrent to US, because if you are close to 2% of the world, the rest is history, you know what happened. And supply chain disruption, relationship disrupted, and there's a lot of problem because the byproduct from diesel is used for manufacturing food and all that. And let me tell you, even though the sign, the deal may go through, it may not last a while, it may not last, it may break the ceasefire, but the permanent deal is not signed. Okay, it's a long way to go. US and Trump, anything can happen. Number two, Bibi Netanyahu will still attack Iran because of the threat of the nuclear. The third, what is more worried, is that there are, because of the proxy, see, the US made a big mistake. When they signed the deal with Lebanon, Israel, the US last week for ceasefire, they did not include Iran, which Iran put in the 45-point plan. They did not include Hezbollah, which is the crux of the problem in Lebanon. And history. You think when you have a permanent ceasefire, Yesterday night, you see again, Israel formed South Lebanon. Ceasefire because they were Bibi Netanyahu were threatened by Trump because of the midterm election years of apply. But it's a stupid move. Because Iran is not going to allow one of the most effective way to disrupt Israel military is having Hezbollah eventually bombard Israel from the south.
Prof, I fundamentally issue here. I'm generalizing it now. The problem is because we have a strategic foresight. People at one level we didn't understand.
Yeah,
How to see the problem?
yeah, they're not competent enough to understand the problem.
Yeah.
That's why you're right. That's what I'm saying. No, you're right. That's why the board member, they will look at news, look at superficial. So that me, I analyze very deep. And I know why to, you must understand. Why do Ayatollah the late of your hand, Ayatollah Khamenei, 86-year-old, decided to remain, not in the bunker, remaining so in Israel and not exactly Israel. Let me tell you, Mossad, Israel intelligence, the best intelligence, better than Pentagon. The best intelligence when we use the agent to kill all the Israel. Let me tell you, they're the best. There's no doubt, Mossad is the best. But to answer your question, the problem is you must understand the Israeli psyche and why they continue to think about he's fighting a lifetime survival. He'll be in jail. But the problem is this. The problem is that we need to see things, open up our mindset, our disruptive mindset, complete bias. But board member, Muslim read, depend on who? Depend on which, depend on report, depend on what the CEO does, and it's not. Yeah, because they don't have the, no, correct, because today, no, correct, no, you're right, that's why I said, if I were to assess, I work with ICDM, I talked, 2 years ago, ICDM, invited me, and I was very clear. When I was invited by John Sri, no. Sandavi chairman. No, after Baki, I know Baki, but not before. He's a very Polish, English, that's English. He's very Polish. English, very old, it's in the 80s.
Nick Mohammed.
I'm sorry, then he came and he's supposed to stay 50 minutes there and 2 hours. Listen to me. And he told me, because PNB appointed something. Yeah? I don't know if it's mention this. So, I'm going to mention this, but no. Okay, never mind. So, to answer your point, half of the board today, half, I will ask you. No, let's not go into that. Why? Because they have enough time to disrupt their own, plan their own. Misalnya ambil gaji, ambil buat, ambil tender, sign tender, ambil duit, dapat allowance, ada application. Sorry, I've been in Malaysia for 30 years. I go to boards for one of the function. I was with B, I was with Mercer, I was with all the big consulting firms. Let me tell you, I'm sorry to say this, I'm not going to go into that. Okay, then lastly, strengthen your leadership. Lastly, strengthen it. To answer your question, you have the leader, Bob. You have the leaders capable of making some decision at the extreme. This is your last question. And most of the board members are not there. Then the leader, the CEO, the C-suite, lagi teruk. And I don't blame them because they are not given the opportunity. You don't give them the ability to train. So who's to blame? The board member. Kalau nak train, advertising potong, training potong. Kalau nak pergi holiday, nak pergi jalan-jalan, nak pergi retreat, boleh. Duit tu cantik dapat. I'm sorry. I'm very direct. This is wrong.
Wrong example, man. Let me give one example. Okay, you tengok Malaysia today, alhamdulillah, exchange rate atau semua bagus dan tapi you look at the thing going on, what is this thing lah?
I want to ask, can I ask a permission?
Uh,
Because we start late, essentially we start at 10 o'clock, we start at 10:45. With your permission, I will make sure we have panel discussion. So if you find it interesting, the example, I can review the example, go to it. You like the example? Let me tell you, because then I need to adjust my timing. You want to see what the example? Yeah, no, this is a 2-day program. Let's go. No, it's a training. Yeah. Anyway, just quickly, these are the crises in the book. I give very detailed case study. Charles Strike. You heard of Charles Strike? Microsoft. Remember, Charles Strike, how they created the worldwide. It's just a catch-up problem. Read the case. It's a small problem, but create a worldwide disruption because of one company, which many of the vendors are run contracts. So let me give you the model quickly. Communicate. CRIS are the competency level. You're asking what are the key competencies. Number one, communicate. Board and CEO. You must have empathetic listening. A great example of this is a guy called Ann Sorensen of Marriott during 2020 when Marriott closed down. 80% of hotel in China very popular. He's dying in a few weeks. This is not the truth. But correct. Trying to watch this person. There's nothing to do. He's dying. The chairman and the doctors all everybody said, please go. Okay, let's see. I have 80% of the staff. I do have a job. People have to survive. He ran on video, explained worldwide to all the associates. We understand. This is unprecedented. We need to work. So when things turn around, people come back to you. He explained in clear, transparent way. So communication. C. R. Resilience. So a good example is Airbnb. Brian Chesky. When Brian Chesky CEO, when Airbnb get affected during COVID, so what he did was he decided operational, emotional, physical resilience. Operational to business. So he cut down, look at, because people cannot travel, so he focused on domestic US, change the strategy. And then the emotional, he talked to all the hosts. But there's no customer, right? So he went to the host and talked to them, how can you strengthen? Then the customer will ask authority, spend time understanding their psyche, what the issue, and physical resilience, his team. Give them this mental model, mental wellness during COVID. Yeah? So how can people ready so they can handle tough people? Then intelligence, and this artificial intelligence during the financial crisis, overnight, how to make decisions. A good example is Ben Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan Chase. Because he invested billions of dollars in the AI system to make decisions. So anything to do with fraud management, fraud detection, investment decision, he made sure that using AI, the latest thing to make decision. But you have a human in the room. Nothing is done with risk management. Must always have a board. The board member plus nominated C-suite leader in the CEO will overlook in a major decision to make a recommendation. So it's called event evaluation. So then you have the shifting mental model that we talk about disruptive mental agility. Some of you know, you cannot go to this. See, Einstein says this. You cannot solve the problem with the same level of thinking that's trying to. So they created that. So you need to cannot look at the same dimension, same activity. So you need to ask yourself, what really assumption, challenge the assumption. So there are three things that I do. We call it RE, critical thinking. Recognize assumption, R, E, evaluate option, brainstorming, D, draw conclusion to ensure that your making decision is aligned to the broad strategic objective of the organization. Then C, inspiring. During time of crisis, Jacinda Ardern of New Zealand. I didn't have chance to meet her. I really love her. Young Prime Minister who is really COVID. She appeared to the public, to the citizens, explain, we are here together. We are here together. We want to solve the problem, or work with me. Help me. We are in the same boat together. Let's make it happen. And through WHO, recognize New Zealand and Singapore as two countries that has the most robust system to manage the COVID-19 pandemic that time. And the other inspiring event was during the shooting of the mosque by the extremists. She appeared in January wearing the scarf, going to the northern community and straining this. When you help me to explain, you're so sorry. This is just an experiment. We work with it, we work with it, we are faking it. So when you're dealing with an AI-driven technology situation, remember this. AI cannot replicate fighting as of today. AI can automate, AI can do a lot of things. Number one, cannot yet. Not strategic thinking. Not what you call critical thinking. And contextualization, judgment, addressing in eyes. All these things you still need human and you and I to do that, but you need to have the right people. And lastly, structure of the economic plan. So what we do in a crisis, then here's a big example, Singapore era. The world is here. All era hit, but in particular the premium era. So the heat. So what Singapore era that has got as Singapore era is to plan good strategic forecasting and invest in the right best people for the job. I repeat that. I am not agreeable for this 50%, 30%. Don't misunderstand me, ladies. No, let me explain. That's very important. All these allocation, mesti ada 20% women director, mesti ada mesti ada at least 30%, 20% dean or vice chancellor women. Is the best person for the job. If the whole board are women, so be it. You can get all women to sit on the board. Remove the person who is not doing the job. No, but if it's your board, haven't got the right man, all the men, I would rather put the man there, the best person when you interview, not because Prof Ryan also not women. I always tell, and I go board like office, I told people don't like, some people don't like me. But it's a reality. He's the best person demonstrate the competency for that role.
But Prof, I can.
Sorry. And Tony, I wrote with Tony Fernandez. Oh, we have women, we are very proud. I said, Tony, you made previously, you open up equipment for women. No, I'm very serious. I know. If you have, we're very proud of women, they see the women are all. But we should open up. It's the best person for the job, not the best woman, the best man. I'm sorry, this is my year, 35 years in the organizational development, strategic HR, SME initiative. I coach world class after world class, world class board, and I I'm saying things, I say things, if I say PMX, I can, this guy will actually, if I say PMX today, I can write to I have seen. I do not know the context, what between you and Govind Singh. No, I'm serious. I do not know, but as you as a person, I went through your profile and spoke to many people. After Philip told me that I spoke to him. You should do Prof Sattar. Sam was a Clementine.
My mother was
No, it's a lot of Samsung. And my point is, this is the best possible job. Until today, you are there for somebody, a Malaysian company, somebody, I don't think anything in Malaysia can have to advise PMX. That National AI Council should advise PMX. In Singapore, our chairman for AI Council is the Prime Minister himself, Lawrence Wong. Prime Minister himself decides. That's how important it is. Okay, can we end with two more slides? Can we move? Hello? Why is it not moving? Okay, so what we need to do, this is only for you. Sunday, Singapore time at 2 o'clock. I had a call with US and Bentley internationally, and my research team sent to me the information. You're the first in the world to see this. It will be published in our June 2026, which will be released in 5th of July for our global client. It's a paid subscription, very expensive when they get information. And I'm going to consolidate it and publish the book in November. It's not available yet. These are questions that CEO and C-suite leaders has been giving them, more than 700 of them worldwide. We ask them, what are the challenges as you deploy AI? Number one, board should be asking, which of the business process we cannot implement without AI? Not just AI, buy all the Anthropic or all the vendor can apply. Grok, XAI, or OpenAI, or DeepMind, or DeepSeek. Ask this question, board member, which of the strategic business outcomes that cannot be implemented without AI? Then we can make a value judgment. Second, what governance and oversight mechanism to protect. Singapore announced in January at WEF, Singapore has one of the very few countries that's developed a governance structure to protect agentic AI. Earlier, before Singapore was European Commission, the US was not yet, and Malaysia is way behind. And hopefully, Sam, I don't know whether Singapore and European Commission and a lot of Germany are doing it, but in Malaysia, your governance structure, I know you're discussing it, but when are you going to recommend it? So the PC is coming. And third, who's accountable? So you cannot just buy a solution, put in, kalau tak jadi, kalau company got problem with a lawsuit, customer suit, who will be responsible? Oh, no, I think my problem. No, somebody got to make a decision. That's why human in the loop, there's accountability. That's why in IBM, Arvind Khanna, the CEO, make sure there's a board of ethics. It's one of the earliest board of ethics will have to approve if this goes wrong, the board of ethics that goes wrong. So it goes to the CEO and the board. So not just, let the system run, anything happen. So the problem is AI problems and no problem. Fourth, what are the new leadership qualities? I just mentioned just now, strategic foresight, constructive agility, talk about the AI collaboration, talk about emotional intelligence, and creativity. All these are called the SHAPE, SHAPER. And how to measure governance? This is where you need to come up with policy, and governance. Normally, governance oversight in each country, you depend what the government recommend. So Singapore we already have, US I think they have, but the European Union is the first one. Europe is the first one to come up. And lastly, the SHAPE insight. Listen, I'm going to explain to you, but you can ask me more during the Q&A, or maybe the moderator. Who's the moderator? You may want to ask me that and explain, because we don't have time to explain. This is the title, Leadership and Human. S for Strategic Foresight, you must have that competency. H is human-AI interaction. You must have empathy. You must have the ability to connect. You must have the ability to develop intense relationship with the machine. It's a collaboration. And I talk about this in 2023. I call it robot. C-O-B-O-T. Collaborative robot. The human sit next to robot. It's not new. In 2023, the other book I talk about that. Then A stands for effective leadership. Have agility. P stands for principle, ethics. Ethical responsibility. That's why we have a governance structure. E is what we talk about execution. You need to execute. This is very important. Lastly, they apply to all of you here. Let me tell you, the most important of all is R. R is renewal and it persons, God, CEO, C-suite, everybody right down to the clerical, to the people with research. It's about learning agility. Learn, unlearn, relearn. God, CEO, everyone. Whatever, every day you go for courses. This morning I received a message from one of my friends. He said, Prof, government is giving away, Singapore government is giving away a lot of money. 6 months. You know, there's government's page for every Singaporean 6 months giving free. Government paying for it. Government paying for it to go. I'm very worried. People may abuse and just sign up for any course is free. No. By the time every 2-3 months it changes, the curriculum changes, the instructor is teaching you learning something which is already redundant. Okay, good news. Let me just move please. Move before that. Okay, just to quickly to respond to your question, what can we do? After listening to all this, I want you to take away, think about this very important. Number one, you need to ask the board has to refresh their thinking, the composition, what it takes to drive the AI world. Listen to Sam advice leader, and listen to the other advice, YB, for the time, and hear from the government perspective, parliament will come up with initiative. We need to look at this. So we provide, DLI provide board advisory. No, we can be important when we know when we talk about, we discuss, no obligation. Then we have executive masterclass. These are 2 to 3 years program to help the CEO and C-suite to develop all these skills. Okay? A very extensive program. It's all customized. It's all contextualized. They are not run in a real public program. No, it's all contextualized in your organization. And lastly, we have done this in Moscow. I launched this in January in Moscow. When I launched this research about the human AI collaboration, Moscow invited me to train some of the very senior government officials in Russia and private sector how to disrupt, because they have a problem with the Russian Ukraine war, how to train people to think, to respond. So it's called executive coaching. Use a model called break thinking, build cognitive readiness, and lastly, breakthrough and bowling transformation. So executive coaching is one-on-one or group transform your senior executive. Can I have the last one? Okay, the conclusion I won't want to go through. Just to tell you that between the more permacrisis, disruption, human-centered, adaptive, resilient, important, emotional intelligence, intelligence must come together. For uncertainty, equal opportunity, permacrisis. And lastly, a key question, you should be asking this, or board member should ask your CEO, listen carefully. Last parting remark to all board members. Ask your CEO, if you're the CEO, ask your HR. Are we prepared to lead again? in a permanently disrupted AI-enabled structure. I repeat, if you're the board member, ask your board, so if you're the chairman or board member, ask your CEO this question. How prepared are we to lead, adapt and thrive in a permanently disrupted AI-enabled? If you are a CEO or C-suite, ask, or the CEO ask your, if you're a CEO, ask your C-suite and your CRO HR, same question. That's my because the answer is whether you will be successful or not, it depends on the answer. Okay, good news, the last one. Free gift for you, only for this attendee. So I got permission to publish. This is only for AU. Okay, so after this event, you still can have the same offer. We're leaving books with Speed, Phillips, or any of the AU staff. So there will be, first of all, there will be 40% discount over the published price. This is very expensive. And this book is a hardcover. So first of all, the hardcover is pretty, so $200 and hardcover for 188. So this one is 135, normal price is 195. So it's for your, if you buy both, you get by free. You get this good. But this one is by itself, this one I recommend for HR. I recommend for young leaders who to grow up. This is for board and CEO and C-suite designs and stage design. Okay? So buy two, you get one free. Sorry, it's really simple. Okay, so the details are all behind. But if you want to get for your own company, they are a big part of discount. Contact me, email me the take picture later, and I got it. Okay, and the next one. Okay, just scan this. You can give free membership. Give you free membership to Leadership in Children. This is a worldwide newsletter on AI enabled. Scan this first, very important. Immediately you can have access to AI enabled. I just did Dubai last Thursday. A topic about AI disruption is on the website. Okay, this is a LinkedIn newsletter. Together with Harvard Business Review, IOC, CEO, and one of the global top 15 CEO worldwide recognized. So they all supported the newsletter, and every week you have access. So click on this, subscribe immediately, and you can have access. Okay, last one. So this is my contact. So this is my LinkedIn and my contact. Scan one more time. This scan is save that page, forward to your HR. That's all. Scan this, forward that page right now to your HR page. So if you are the CEO, you are the chairman or board member, forward to your CEO. You are the CEO, forward to HR. You are the HR, forward to everybody in the company. Okay. So these are all a lot of resources, free books, articles, a lot of resources. Okay? And they can get a lot of free. I believe I like to give away free because I believe in that model. So all the models, every models, he said every models in the books are in the website. Those are the what to do. How to do it, that is not in the book. Everybody. You understand? What to do, the knowledge is the website. But how to do it, how to execute the best practices, the company, the example, the one you get from book. Because it's a global research company, US called Business Expert Press. They invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in US research worldwide. All the books are used by the university worldwide. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much. I took a little longer time, but I thought we start late. I take exactly 1 hour. No, just 1 hour. So I start at 10:45. Okay, so I hope it's useful. Thank you very much. Let me know if you want any of this repeat. If you want to repeat of this presentation for your company, no obligation. You can have a chat. Let me know. You can have a call. I can talk to the board or C-suite CEO. You can talk.
We need our board is focused by this.
Okay, inshallah. Okay, thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.